In 2018, I was this person who was addicted to scrolling, eating fast food, playing video games, basically anything that gave me instant pleasure. The things that were actually good for me, I used to procrastinate them. I used to be so much of a serial procrastinator that I delayed getting my own driver's license for 3 years. Like, I would be leeching on others to drop me here and there. Because I was living the life of a person who had no discipline, I was being treated like a little boy. Like, I could tell people did not respect me. Even my own family members did not respect me. And rightly so, because I was living a lifestyle that was not worth being respected. But that isn't how my story ends. I was able to flip my life 180 degrees. I went on to work as a software engineer at Fortune 500 companies. Additionally, I became one of the top performing students in both my bachelor's and my master's program. I did all of these things while lifting weights at the gym, reading books, and training martial arts 6 days a week. One of the biggest differences between me back then and me now is the choice of reward that I would give myself. In the past, as soon as I would make any form of progress or I would achieve something, I would reward myself with something that is harmful for me. I would think that, okay, I've been doing pretty well in life right now. I've been following my routine consistently for 4 days. Why should I not just reward myself with some McDonald's and perhaps play video games till 2 a.m.? I deserve it, right? But the next day I would wake up sleep deprived with brain fog, and this would kill my productivity. This idea that I had to reward myself that would eventually mess me up and bring my progress down, it was so deeply ingrained in me, because this is exactly how I saw other people celebrate. And now that I just think about it, this concept seems a bit weird. Like, oh look, I've been eating good healthy food for 7 days in a row, let me just consume a cheat meal and just undo some of my progress. Like, yeah, that's a reward. This sort of mindset subconsciously tells you that you are going against the current, like you are really struggling with the good habits, and you eventually need to reward yourself with bad habits to lift that pressure somehow. And this is one of the reasons why most people cannot sustain long-lasting discipline, because they still consider these addictive behaviors as rewards or something that is just necessary for life. Now my approach to rewarding myself is really different. To me, my progress is the reward. If I have been reading consistently for 30 days in a row, my reward isn't going to be some party or playing video games. I have already received my reward, the wisdom that I got from those books. I can use this wisdom. I can use this wisdom to help others. If I have worked out for 30 days in a row, then my reward is the strength that I've gained, the explosiveness that I do not feel that I require a cheat meal to get a reward. And when you have this sort of a mindset that the reward is the growth itself, then you are not going to be looking for bad habits as rewards. And believe me, I have not had a cheat meal in 6 months. It's not because I'm just clenching my fists and really holding myself back from eating garbage food. It's because I do not see garbage food as rewarding anymore. To me, it actually takes away from my progress. My actual reward is being taken away from me. I see fast food for the poison that it is. It is going to make me unmotivated and depressed tomorrow. And when you finally make this shift in perspective, every single day becomes rewarding. Every single time I tick something off my to-do list or follow my routine, I feel a sense of reward, like, yeah, I made progress. I am better than what I was yesterday. And if you really feel the need to reward yourself with something tangible, then get yourself something that is going to further increase your life. Like, when I'm really consistent with my workouts, I kind of get myself new equipment, new boxing gloves, and this motivates me to be more consistent with my workouts. It does not take anything away from me. One thing that makes the foundation of discipline is having a good sleep schedule. By that I mean waking at the same time every day and going to bed at the same time every day. It's not just about 8 hours of sleep. What I realized about me in the past is that some days I would go to bed early, like 11 p.m. and some days I would go really late, like 2 a.m. And then I would wake up at random times and wouldn't be able to follow a set schedule. Also, the likelihood that you will wake up sleep deprived is incredibly high. Like, I attended most of my university lectures that way, kind of sleep deprived and only able to focus like 40-50%. This is why I end up like zoning out for most of the classes. Even though I was hearing what was being said, seeing what was being written, I barely absorbed anything. And when you're in such a state of mind, kind of groggy, then you're going to have a very hard time to stay disciplined. Like, those regions of your brain which are responsible for saying no to things, like they are responsible for controlling your impulses, they are so weakened when you're sleep deprived. And the truth is, you are not going to feel like putting in effort or doing anything cognitively challenging. Another thing that I noticed was that the earlier that I woke up, like these days I'm waking up at 4 a.m., the more disciplined I naturally feel because of the lack of distractions around you. And also the psychological win that you get knowing that 95% of the world is asleep while you're up and being disciplined and actually working on things. Now compare this to the lifestyle of someone that wakes up at 10 a.m. There are already people texting him, calling him, DMing him, knocking at his door. Think about how pulled in different directions this person is going to be by life. Also, when you wake up this early, like 4 or 5 a.m., you're going to get pretty tired early on in the night. Like by 9 p.m., I go to bed. And this actually protects you from making a lot of bad impulsive decisions. Like if you dissect your own life, you will find that most of your bad decisions, watching pornography, scrolling through TikTok, binge watching Netflix, eating garbage food, all of these habits typically happen at night time when you're bored, lonely, you know no one is watching you, you know everyone is asleep, and you can't fall asleep. But by sleeping early and therefore shortening your night window, you have protected yourself from all these impulsive habits. In the past, one of the mistakes that I would do was that I would look at a task in its entirety. For example, if there was a project at work, I would think that, this is the entire project that I need to be doing. And then when I would schedule it on my routine or on my to-do list, I would always find myself procrastinating this task because it just seemed like a mountain of an effort to put. I have now completely changed the way that I look at tasks. I now look at tasks as collection of subtasks. For example, even creating this video. To be honest, a YouTube video takes me around 8 to 12 hours, but I do not go with the mindset that, okay, Jibreal, I now have to spend 8 to 12 hours into creating one YouTube video. If I were to go with this mindset, I would probably not create another video. I now view a YouTube video in terms of its subtasks, like designing a thumbnail, like editing, like recording, like scripting. And what I have to do during a day is just attempt one of these subtasks. This way your task stops being a mountain and now becomes tiny doable chunks of work. The best part is you can keep breaking down the subtask into even smaller tasks. For example, the script of a YouTube video, which is a subtask for creating a YouTube video, can itself be broken down into other sections. So this way you've just divided a subtask into even smaller tasks, and you can keep doing so until you finally come across a subtask that you're sort of willing to do and it does not overwhelm you. This way you are going to retain your discipline and consistency even on the bad days or even when you are overwhelmed by a task. In the past, whenever I would plan on working on something really important or challenging, like learning how to code or working on a business, I would tend to schedule it at the end of the day, like after my main job or after attending university. That is when I would attempt the task. But what I realized was that I found myself too depleted and unmotivated towards the end of the day to actually begin to work on my business or learn how to code or do anything that I had planned. And I often skipped these tasks. It purely depended on my mood and motivation levels. It was basically a coin toss. But then I learned a far better approach is to schedule these tasks at the beginning of the day. Like one of the reasons why I was able to consistently produce YouTube videos for like the last 1 year despite having a job and doing my master's was because I created YouTube videos the first thing in the day. As soon as I woke up, I was like, right, 1 or 2 hours are going to be dedicated to YouTube before I even step outside the house and do anything else. And this is when having a good sleep schedule really comes into play because you can afford to do your important tasks at the beginning of the day without having to rely on motivation because you're full of energy, you are not stressed by things that happen during the day, and your motivation levels are quite high. This is because at the start of the day, your dopamine levels, this is the neurochemical that is responsible for you being motivated, you being full of energy, you actually wanting to put in effort. This neurochemical is quite high at the beginning of the day and you can get a lot of work done. However, as the day continues, another neurochemical called serotonin is on the rise. And this neurochemical is responsible for calming you down, making you relax. You are no longer energetic. This is when you should be scheduling the lighter activities in your day like journaling or reading. But if you schedule any hard task at the end of the day, you are more likely to skip on it. You might have noticed that in all the points that I made, I have never mentioned the concept of relying on raw motivation or just pumping yourself up or just do it. Because motivation is a limited resource and it is bound to run out. If you want to actually build everlasting discipline, you have to do it in a systematic way and understand the way your mind and body actually work. If you would actually like to work with me to build you a strong foundation for discipline, then make sure that you click on the link in the description and book a one-on-one call with me. In this call, we'll sort of discuss where you are currently in life and what your long-term goals are and how I can help you get there.